Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. A new month means a new menu from the kitchen of our Across the Fence foodie, Marco Ayala. Chef Marco has been out in the garden gathering up the season's best. You might even say it's a harvest of tasty treats and down-home cooking. Join me in saying, yes, chef. Here's Marco.
Thank you, Jolie. Hi, I'm Marco Ayala, and I'm here to share some recipes from around the world with all of you. And first, I want to acknowledge my chef's jacket. My good friend Hans gifted me this jacket because he says that I really need to look the part in order to do this segment. And I totally agree. However, because we're going to be doing some home cooking, we are going to relax at home. So I'm going to take the uniform off so I can talk to you right here from my kitchen while I tell you all about what we're going to be doing today. As it turns out, summer is pretty much over. Labor Day was just a couple days ago, and that marks the unofficial start of fall. We still have a lot of stuff coming from the garden. We still have some beautiful tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, all kinds of great veggies still coming in. So let's take advantage of those. So, as I said, I'm doing a little bit of a theme. We're doing harvests from around the world. And I'm gonna start with some herb tomato focaccia. So this is an Italian favorite. Is this really crusty bread that is perfect for an appetizer or a side dish to pretty much any meal. So let me tell you how to put this together. First, to a large bowl, you're gonna add 1 cup warm water. Then you're gonna add 1 package, 1/4 ounce active dry yeast. Dissolve it into the warm water. And then you're gonna add 1 tablespoon oil, half a teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon sugar, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon dried oregano, 1 teaspoon dried thyme, and 1 teaspoon rosemary, and half a teaspoon dried basil. And right off the bat, you can probably notice that this bread is going to be absolutely delicious because there's a lot of herbs going in there which work so well together, and they're going to give it this very nice Italian flavor that we all love. Then you're going to add 1.5 cups flour and beat it until smooth. Once it starts forming a soft dough, you're going to add another 1/2 cup flour. Then you're going to turn the dough onto a flour surface, and you're going to knead it until smooth and elastic. Keep adding flour as needed because this dough is very sticky. Then you're going to transfer it to a greased bowl, cover it, and let it rise in a warm place until doubled, about 1 hour. This recipe takes a little time because we're going to let the dough rise about 3 times. However, it's absolutely worth it because once you taste this, you are going to love it. And you can see that it came out so well. It's nicely brown on both sides. However, you can see that the dough rose a little bit, so it's not super hard. It's just crunchy, but it's slightly soft inside. You're gonna love it. Once the dough has doubled in size, you're gonna punch the dough down, cover it, and let it rest for about 20 minutes. You will notice that it has risen again. Then you're gonna take a 13x9 baking sheet, spray it with oil, and then you're gonna take your dough and shape it into a rectangle, covering the whole sheet. Something that is very important to highlight is that this does not have to be perfect. In fact, it's an artisanal bread, so it's better if it's a little uneven because then you get crunchy, you get soft. This dough is actually a little complicated to manage because it's very sticky, so don't worry if it's not covering the whole pan or if it's a little uneven. Just go with the flow. Cover the baking sheet and let it rise in a warm place until it's about doubled, about 30 minutes. In the meantime, you're gonna take 2 plum tomatoes and you're gonna thinly slice them. Once your dough has doubled in size, you're gonna brush it with oil. In this case, I'm spraying it. Then you're gonna arrange the tomatoes over the top and you're gonna sprinkle it with 1/2 cup mozzarella cheese and 1/3 cup Parmesan cheese. Then you're gonna bake it at 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes or until golden brown. And even though the process is a little lengthy, not to worry, because this bread is going to come out great. And it's absolutely worth taking the time and the effort to let it rise a couple times. So I hope you give this recipe a try, because as I said, it's one of those great Italian recipes that everyone in your family is going to absolutely love. Let's talk about our main dish. And our main dish is coming from France. Provence is one of those beautiful regions in France, and that's where this recipe comes from. It's Provence chicken. And look at all the ingredients in there. It looks beautiful, it smells delicious, and it uses a lot of those tomatoes that are still coming out, some shallots, and some more ingredients that I'm going to tell you more about. Because even though this recipe sounds very fancy, it's very easy, and if you have the right tools at home, you can make it with one single pan. So let me tell you how to put it together. First, to a large pan, you're going to add some oil, and you're going to set it over medium-high heat. Once the oil is glistening, you're going to add 8 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. While they're in the pan, you're going to season them with salt and black pepper. Make sure that the chicken thighs are nicely charred on both sides. Reduce the heat, and then you're going to add 1 cup dry white wine, such as Sauvignon Blanc. And as I said before in this broadcast, don't be afraid to use wine in your cooking, because the alcohol pretty much evaporates once you cook it or you bake it. So you're only left with that really nice taste that is slightly dry, slightly tangy, and slightly sweet from the wine. The other thing is, don't use a fancy wine because, well, it's going to cook down and you're going to be adding a lot more flavors, so it doesn't necessarily need to be anything fancy. And also, cheers. While your chicken is cooking, you're going to take 6 medium shallots and you're going to peel them and half them. Then you're going to take some pitted dates and you're going to cut them in half until you get about half a cup. Then you're going to transfer your chicken to a 13x9 baking dish, add the liquid, and then you're going to add 2 pints cherry tomatoes, your shallots, 1 cup green olives, and your cut up dates. Arrange them well, cover your baking dish with foil, and you're going to bake it at 400 degrees for about 60 minutes. I also made some mashed potato to go with this chicken because I think that this will be basically the perfect side dish. And look at that. Doesn't that look absolutely amazing? And it's so easy to make. And look at this little plate. Isn't that a nice little dinner? And as I said, you have a couple countries right here for your harvest from around the world recipes. I hope you give it a try because I think you're gonna love this. So now let's move on to dessert because it's the course that everybody loves. And for our harvest from around the world, we're going all the way to Germany to make this German plum cake. And look at this beauty. It's criminally easy how to make this cake because even though it looks really nice, it looks kind of fancy and it has like all the plums there and you can see the indentations. It was so easy to make. So let me tell you how to put this together. First, to a mixing bowl, you're gonna add 1/4 cup softened butter, 3/4 cup sugar, and with a mixer, you're gonna cream the butter and sugar until it's light and fluffy. Then you're gonna add 2 large eggs at room temperature. And again, I know I say this all the time, but I get my eggs locally from Milton. I have a good friend there who has backyard hens and she provides me with the best eggs that I ever tasted. So make sure to visit your local farmer's market, check your local farms and get fresh ingredients because it's great to know exactly where your food came from. Then, to a separate bowl, you're gonna add 1 cup flour and 1 teaspoon baking powder, and you're gonna mix them well. Then, to your cream mixture, you're going to alternately add the dry ingredients with 1/4 cup milk. While that is mixing, you're going to zest 1 lemon until you get about 1 teaspoon lemon zest, and you're going to add it to your mixture. The dough for this cake is very soft and slightly loose. You will think that it's almost a little too loose, but just trust the process because once you bake it, it's going to come out beautiful. Then you're going to take about 4 medium plums and you're going to slice them until you get about 2 cups. Then you're going to prepare a springform pan. I like to take some parchment paper, tracing the springform pan, cutting it, placing the cut parchment paper at the bottom of the springform pan, and then spraying it with oil. This will make it easier to take the cake out of the pan. Then you're going to transfer the dough onto the pan, and you're going to arrange the plums on top. To a separate bowl, you're going to add 1/2 cup packed ground sugar and 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon. Mix them well and sprinkle the top of your cake with the brown sugar and cinnamon. Bake it at 350 degrees for about 40 to 50 minutes. Once it comes out, it looks amazing. This is a German favorite, and that you learn how to make it on Across the Fence. And now let's take this slice out. Oh wow, it came out perfect, and look at that. Doesn't that look amazing? Can't wait to try it. So these are my recipes for this month. I hope you give all of them a try because there's an assortment here of international recipes that are very easy to make and that they're going to make the last harvest of the year absolutely worth it. Also remember to connect with Across the Fence through our social media, and also follow us on Facebook where we post links to all the great content that Across the Fence brings you every day. And also remember that right there on our website you can find these recipes and many more from our archives. Happy start of the fall, and from my kitchen to your kitchen, happy cooking. And let's try this focaccia. This is so good. I hope you could try this, Jolie. Back to you.
Thank you, Chef. And I also want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX who make our visit Across the Fence possible. I'm Jolie Whitney. Have a good one.